What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and we have a get woke, go broke scenario. In fact, we've got some evidence, proof that get woke, go broke is a thing. That's right. Resident Evil's Netflix show, in case you didn't know, is coming up, and it looks quite terrible. If you remember, actually, let me pull this up because I'm sure that everybody's freaking out about this latest article, this latest bit of news, but it's pretty hilarious. You have 6 days ago, Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. Let's see here. Let's bring up this article. This is for the animated show, it looks like. Yeah, Infinite Darkness. Resident Evil's Netflix show has asked reviewers not to mention politics. Wow. It's almost like Capcom, or the creators of the show, have figured out that people don't want that. People don't want politics in their peanut butter or peanut butter in their politics. They just want to enjoy zombies. No politics, only zombies. From Oval Office meetings to black helicopters coasting over the Middle East, Resident Evil's latest adaptation is packed with charged imagery. But please don't suggest it as any political ideas if you happen to be reviewing it, says Netflix. It's all, and you know that reviewers are salty about this. And on top of all of that, it's interesting to me that they still were happy to accept the clicks. Resident Evil Infinite Darkness' first season is out now, and by all accounts, it sounds like a pretty decent show. But when reviewers examine their embargo materials that clarify when reviews can be posted, they also notice the unusual request for the series producers. Promoting his own review on Twitter, Gizmodo staff writer Charles Don't Care noted that part of his embargo included not mentioning the show's pointedly political themes. Having been sent a copy of the embargo email, I can confirm that it does indeed ask reviewers to not link the, quote, fictional show with any real-world political topics. Capcom and Netflix both declined requests. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? This proves that we're having an impact, that people tuning out of overtly reaching political shows and stuff like that, they're worried about that. They're worried about their show getting politicized. Actually thought the Resident Evil Infinite Dark story was one of the better entries in the franchise outside of the games. But the studios asked that reviews not at all talk about real-world events or politics ended up casting a shadow over the entire movie for me. Nevertheless, Pulliam Moore's review does very much cover the political situation of the show that supposedly covers the U.S. occupation of a fictional Middle Eastern nation, Panamistan, along with more heightened government conspiracies surrounding outbreaks. What also is likely to feel quite reminiscent of our reality is Resident Evil Infinite Darkness' larger story about domestic politics, international relations, and war. Pulliam Moore writes, at the time when the world is still in the midst of, it's always going to be in the midst of that's left millions dead, all zombie stories hit very, very differently. But some of the Resident Evil Infinite Darkness specific geopolitical details do feel like a pointed piece of commentary about the real world. Well, I don't think, I'm not pre-blocked, that's interesting. And then you can see Charles then melting down about it here, saying, "Oh no, it shows the White House on it. Oh no, oh no. Why can't we just keep politics out of entertainment?" I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not a movie. You called it a movie, first of all. But here's the actual review of the show. I've never actually been like an animated series fan. I kind of got into Death and Robots or whatever. I bet you see what you'll see from reviewers probably is that you'll start to see interestingly negative reviews come in that don't seem, here you see, interesting from Grace Randolph, of course. It's interesting to see this kind of animation, but the story here is too cliche. Not as good as the other animated shows already available on Netflix. Bubble Blabber says, Resident Evil Into the Darkness doesn't feel like it's for for that, wait, like it's for those that are fans of the video game series, the zombie genre, or even the heavy-handed political thrillers that it seems to idolize. I mean, I don't know. We've got like 5 reviews here. It's probably pretty generic. I'm not really super excited for any shows that would be on Resident Evil, but this is the season 1, and here's the IGN review. Netflix's first Resident Evil series is a step in the right direction. Now notice they didn't mention any politics here. Do not expect Infinite Darkness to be a non-stop action fest with a ton of zombie ending. While the show is set between 2 of the Resident Evil series, more action-focused games, do not expect Infinite Darkness to be a non-stop action fest with a ton of zombie slaying. In fact, relatively few zombies are ended throughout the entire 4 episodes, but it makes the most of those opportunities with some pretty spectacular effects. There is one scene in particular where Leon dispatches a weapon by smashing it with a fire extinguisher that made me lose my appetite. Not to brag, but that's a rare occurrence for me. I watch a fair amount of horror movies and shows. Instead of the action scenes of ending a bunch of zombies, the plot moves forward through dialogue, which I found a major upgrade compared to the cheesy writing and lines delivered in the past Resident Evil films, both animated and live action. It helps unravel the secrets and conspiracies that led up to the climax of the series overall, and again, it does so without requiring in-depth knowledge of the games. There are times we're launched into flashbacks that will help provide context. Early on, I was very confused by certain side characters and how they were connected. As the episodes go on, Leah ends up getting more screen time than Claire, is arguably required by circumstance of the story. So it seems like, how do I say? You know, they say Resident Evil Infinite Darkness is a self-contained 4-part anime sci-fi thriller. Despite predictability on who would serve as the antagonist, the bad performance and animation by certain minor characters, and the imbalance of importance and screen time for our 2 protagonists, Infinite Darkness is a step in the right direction for the upcoming Resident Evil live-action series Netflix is working on, and the live-action film reboot by Sony Pictures. I've never really loved any of the Resident Evil movies, to be honest with you. You know, they're kind of like popcorn movies. You know, there's nothing like necessarily wrong with them inherently, but there's nothing inherently memorable about each and every one of them. I think Mila Jovovich is just fine. She plays, you know, that role quite well. But I'm also burnt out on zombies. I think a lot of people are just totally burnt out on zombies. But, you know, it'll be interesting to see if Netflix gets any backlash from this by not allowing people to discuss politics. Right now, not much is going on. But we'll have to wait and see. What we do know is that Netflix and Capcom, or whoever's behind this show, clearly knows that their target audience will be turned away if politics are discussed in reviews, which I think is great news. As we continue to ignore woke garbage and give our time and money to the things that are great, maybe, just maybe, we could turn this thing around. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.